Welcome back to the Happy Sadango Show. And if you're listening to us and if you've just joined us, go grab that cup of coffee. We had two inspirational people that we just interviewed earlier. And we're saying, join us now. We're going to inspire this afternoon to, of course, look at life in many directions and, of course, in a positive way and help you change the aspects of your life for nothing but the better. So thank you for joining me this afternoon because we have somebody phenomenal that we'd like to speak to. Her name is Nabeela Noorani, and she's going to be speaking about her COVID-19 diagnosis and what people should know about the virus and, of course, her experience. And I think it's something to look forward to listening to because it's going to teach us a lot about things. You know, they say only if you've experienced something do you know it best. And this is what Nabeela is going to bring to light this afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Gee, I can. How are you doing this afternoon, Sister Nabeela?
Alhamdulillah, feeling a lot better than last week.
That's
How
good
are you?
to hear. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well. Shukr, alhamdulillah, with everybody's du'as, I'm doing well. Thank you. But I just want to firstly thank you for joining us this afternoon to be able to share some light on the matter because it's such a selfless thing that you're doing. A lot of people, I think, shun back and they don't want to talk about the topic because there's so much. But I think we can only educate ourselves if somebody that's had it can firsthand can give us the experience and the journey so that we can understand what it is that people are dealing with.
You know, it's funny you should say that because the minute I found out that I tested positive, I put it up on my WhatsApp status to say that, you know, I've tested positive and if you've been in contact with me within the last 10 days, then, you know, please, you know, take precaution and watch out for yourself. And someone replied back to that status saying that, you know, she's giving advice. Can I please rather remove my status because I'm a high school teacher at an Islamic school here in PE. And she told me that it would probably cause a lot of panic with, you know, parents and students. I just messaged her to say, like, you know, but why? I mean, I haven't been in school since school reopened, but anyway, she didn't reply, so I didn't think too much of it.
But yeah, I think there's an element of fear. That's what it is. There's this element of fear. I think people are very fearful of contracting it, and that's where that whole issue comes in.
You know, no, really, you know, people always, especially like in Johannesburg and Durban, they have this idea, like, you know, PE, everyone's so conservative here, and everyone is like hush hush, like they just want to keep it quiet that they have COVID, or they're really reluctant. I mean, even if we know they just won't admit that they've had it or they are experiencing it. So I just find it so, I don't even know what's the word. I find it so surprised, so shocking that they would not want to, because it's the responsible thing to do to, you know, let people know you've been in contact with.
Yes, and I think especially like you're saying, if you've been in contact with people, I think the right thing to do is let them know that they need to quarantine themselves, because it's just like a whole domino effect. What happens is you find those same 10 people that you were in contact with going into contact with others, not realizing that they've come into contact with you and you're now COVID positive.
I actually picked it up. I think it was from my sister because she got sick first, so it's most likely I picked it up from her. This was the weekend that school closed. I think I saw her, and then the thing is, myself and my husband and children, we went away for, you know, the school break. So it was really not a break for me because I was sick the whole time, and we were in another province. We were in Cape Town.
Oh,
so and I had to basically stay at our accommodation all the time and just rest. But I sort of knew I had it once my sister tested positive. I was luckier than her, which was a little surprising because I'm actually a type 1 diabetic. So COVID is really, it's really life-threatening if you have diabetes, because the majority of people that have passed away had an underlying issue like diabetes.
That's correct. Yes, that's right.
And
And I think there's that element of worry because you ask yourself, because people are getting it in different versions. Some are getting it mild, some are asymptomatic, others are getting it so bad that they end up in ICU.
yes, my sister actually was in the hospital because although she has no underlying issue, she's completely healthy. She's in, the healthy weight range. She's not overweight. But she needed the hospital because she couldn't breathe. She needed to be on oxygen. Whereas, I didn't have any breathing problems. So alhamdulillah, I didn't need to stay at the hospital. But it's when people say that, it's really unlike anything you've experienced, it really is. It's
So,
really it's
so
you
talk to us
you
through the
it will help
experience.
you.
How did it make you feel? I mean, because a lot of the times I think this is what people don't get the gist of, is how
Mm.
exactly do you feel when you have COVID?
Okay, I'll tell you my experience, although I think everyone sort of experiences it differently. Like you said, some
Yes,
have
exactly.
mild, but anyway, it started about nearly 3 weeks ago. I had sort of like a migraine type of headache. Like it was all in my forehead and then the upper nose. So I thought maybe it was a really bad migraine. And I was in Cape Town at the time, so I just went to get something for the migraine at the chemist. So anyway, I got it. Um, I used it for 2 days, and the pain sort of intensified. And after that, I I started feeling nauseous and very weak, like extremely weak. And at night, I would experience cold shivers. So like you get cold, and then you get hot, and then you get cold, and you get hot. And because we were on holiday, I didn't want to spoil the fun for anyone, so I just sort of rested on my own, and then like my husband and my children would go out on their own. But the drive home was terrible because I was in, I think it was around about day 8 for me,
Mhm.
and the doctor told us that day 8, 9, 10, that's when you are at your peak, so it's like at the worst. So I was going through this while we were traveling 9 hours by car.
Oh, that wasn't
So
fun.
no, it wasn't. And the thing with COVID and diabetes, it would push your sugar up, like
Oh,
it can push it dangerously high, and that's what happened. I think 2 weeks ago on a Friday, the ambulance actually came to my house to come and fetch me, and I had to go to the hospital. But anyway, at that time I had already taken like a double dose of my insulin, and a few hours later I was fine to come home. But it's really it's a terrible experience. I wouldn't want to wish it on anyone. And it's a little upsetting. Like last night I was going through some Facebook posts, and this one woman commented like because we were anticipating the president's address and what he would say, but the thing is, we know as a country we can't handle another lockdown. Like the economy can't handle it. And she
right.
was saying that because of this, it's not going to happen. But also, people shouldn't make this virus out to be what it's not. And the thing is, people are dying because of it is what people are making it out to be. I don't understand why people are so being so lackadaisy with this virus, because it's really it can kill you if it's not treated, or if you have some underlying issue. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know how
You know,
else we can make
I
people.
so agree with your sentiment. I think what you're trying to say is that people still need to be diligent about things, and they not need to not get complacent and say that the virus is not around, because it still is. And it's important to be
Mm.
able to take those precautions by wearing those masks, sanitizing, social distancing. It still needs to happen because the reality of the situation is that we're still living with the virus.
Yes, really we are. And Alhamdulillah, shukr. I was the only one in my household to be affected. Like, because the minute I started realizing that this is not only a migraine, I started to distance myself from everyone. So they were fine. Um, my sister's also out of hospital. She's doing a lot better, but now my parents also tested positive. And my mother, she seems to be getting over it, but now my father is quite sick at home. So it really it hit our whole family.
Mm.
So I can't reiterate enough the fact that we need to start social distancing and taking the social distancing seriously. Here in Port Elizabeth, for example, like I said, yes, there's a very conservative,
Mm.
especially a Muslim community over here. I'm sure the radio is familiar with people like Mufti Mufti A.S. Desai, and yeah, so we have at the time when the lockdown was introduced. This was back in April,
March.
March,
Yeah, March,
yeah.
end of March, April.
And then yes, we were going. If you remember, we were going into Ramadan, and like we were discussing, like what is Ramadan going to be like, under these conditions, and no tarawih being performed at the masajid. And there were a few masajid that said that there isn't a disease that can affect you while you are in the house of Allah. And they went ahead with the plans of Tarawih and no social distancing whatsoever. And one of these masajid became a hub for COVID-19. To this day, they will deny it.
Mm.
But the doctors have said like this is where it's spread, but uh, I don't know what more I can say. Like even in our community, children, well, no, not children anymore, but people that I went to school with. Um, One, I think it was a few months ago, the mother tested positive. She was in ICU. She passed away. Their father also went into ICU. He passed. They lost both their parents to the virus within a span of 2 weeks.
Mm. Yes, that's right.
So, like,
And that's the thing. I think we need to start taking this more seriously, and taking, as I said, the necessary precautions. There are certain things that we need to do every single day in our lives, but it's learning to understand there's a new world order taking place. That mask has to be there. The
mm,
sanitization has to take place. But I'm sure it was a journey of maybe retrospecting for you, making you reflect on your life. Did it not? Was it not a life changing experience for you as such?
in many ways, I think it was because look, we all started out with this bang. Like, we observing social distancing, we are sanitizing like crazy. And for someone like myself who is now, I mean, I live right across from where I work at the Islamic school, so sanitizing was the order of the day.
Mm.
And like you go through these moments where you become a little lax, where you should be sanitizing every half an hour, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or like among staff members, maybe a staff member I'm close with, maybe we shared a lunch when we shouldn't have. So in ways like that, it has made me a lot more serious now. Especially being a teacher, I haven't gone back to school yet. Inshallah, I'm out of isolation now, so I will go on Monday. And yeah, I probably have a big story to tell there as well. But it really does put things into perspective, having experienced the virus, firsthand. And really, it's because at some point it makes you feel like you are on your deathbed. It's really that bad for some people that are hit hard.
That's
It's
correct.
really that bad.
Has it made you retrospect in many directions? I mean, it's something, as you were saying, that somebody would never ever normally experience. It's something totally different. Having to experience something like this, did it make you retrospect on your life and ask yourself what it is that you can change to make your life better?
Yes. When you go, I'm sure many people can relate. Like, for example, okay, obviously it's not that bad, but I'm just saying, like, for a woman that's gone through labor, and you're in the throes of labor, and you are in the throes of labor, and and you're thinking to yourself, oh Allah, is am I gonna make it out? If I don't make out, like what's gonna happen? If I do make it out, I'm going to do this and this and this different, and I'm going to start doing this, and I'm going to start waking up
Yes.
for special pre-dawn prayers and all of these things. But um, look, when I say for me, I can really compare it to a pregnancy experience, right? Because I was 28 years old and I had my last child. This was a few years ago, and I had abnormally difficult pregnancies because of undetected diabetes. So I was in and out of hospital all the time. So when I say that I felt that way, I felt that way. So it's like it's like a near death experience. Well, for me, I know
Have you been
my brother-in-law. He is also tested positive, but all he had was a headache. So he's one of the lucky ones.
Yes. Have you been experiencing the stigma thing? I mean, people have been going through experiences where if they know somebody has had COVID, they don't really want to interact much with them because there's that element of fear that's still there.
Um, well, I haven't really left my house yet because I only came out of isolation on Tuesday. But yesterday I went to my school to go and print something. And before I already stepped in, I told like staff members, "Don't worry, I'm out of isolation now. I should be. I'm testing negative right now." But you could already see one staff member. She was like, she, you could like see the fear flash
Right.
over her eyes.
Yeah.
And
And
also like with my
I think it's
husband.
to make people
Uh,
understand that once you're negative, it's done with. You know, it's like
yeah.
having going through a flu or should we say, contagious diseases like measles and things like that. Once your period is over, it's over. So people can interact with you, and I think that's the
Mm.
element we need to bring to the fore so that people can, overcome that element of fear.
Yes, and look, I think it just stems from the unknown because
Mm,
a lot of people look for many, although we are now like we are living with this virus. For a lot of people that haven't had the immediate family affected by the virus, they still have this unknown factor. So
mm.
some of them still have like a fear that sometimes can seem a little irrational, but I mean, I wouldn't take offense. It's just the fear of the unknown.
That is so true. I agree with you. What has this experience taught you, Nabeela? What has this
Yes.
experience taught you? Can you hear me?
Um. Yes, I can. I'm just trying to think all of the things that I learned. Um. I learned to take my vitamins and to really, but one thing I wanted to mention was you see, someone living with my diagnosis, type 1 diabetes, is something that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people still don't know the difference between type 1 and type 2. So type 2 obviously is it's brought on over time, maybe through a, a bad lifestyle and bad diets, whereas type 1 is something that is developed in youth and younger age. Some people are born with it. So for someone like me, I no matter what, I'm always going to be diabetic.
Mm.
Um, and a few months ago, I had a 3 monthly checkup with my GP, and she told me This was when COVID started. And she told me, like, if I don't make certain changes and I get this virus, I'm going to die, probably. So that shook me a little. So about 4 months ago, I started making complete lifestyle changes. I
What
started
sort of
taking better
changes did
care
you have
of
to make?
uh, the, the usual but the difficult things like cutting out all processed foods and fried things and white things and just insulin injections works better when you exercise. So I started exercising regularly, and it's been 4 months now, and I lost 11 kilos. But besides that, I truly
Mm,
believe that if I didn't make these changes and I had gotten COVID-19 living as I used to, I think I would have been in the ICU.
mm.
So
Now, I
yeah,
understand fully where you're coming from. So it's like literally having to also just look after your underlying conditions that you
yes,
have and trying to better it. And of course, boosting your immune system is important as well.
yes, boosting your immune system, and also um, I've noticed a real improvement with kulunji oil or kulunji seeds. You know, the suna
Hmm.
um, a medicine that we've been recommended by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Really, it does wonders for a number of things, but specifically me with my chest. I've had this. I still have the cough, and I think that's going to stay with me for a while because certain symptoms of COVID, even after you are tested negative, can stay with you for months and months. Like I know
Yes,
someone who had COVID in March, and she says she still doesn't feel herself. So
mm. So it has
yeah,
a very big impact on a person on a long-term basis, should we say?
mm,
I speak to certain people, and they tell me that post-COVID, they've had more situations than they had during it. I mean, some of them suffered like yourself, very mildly, but later on, there were other side effects that had eventually come up from it.
yes. So like the cough, it feels like it's going to be with me still probably for the rest of the year at least, I think.
Sure.
And I'm still experiencing those headaches now and again. But
Mm.
I know of people that they are still, they still have that fatigue that comes with COVID-19. Really, it's like another type of fatigue. All you want to do is close your eyes. There's nothing you can do.
Sure. And that's scary because it sets you back from your doing your normal everyday scenarios that you'd like to do, even if you're at home, being
Yes,
in isolation. But it kind of sets you back in a big way.
and that's another thing that people need to realize when they think that, oh, you know what, even if I get it, I'm going to be out for 3 weeks. And after the 3 weeks, everything's going to be fine and dandy. And really, it's not. It's going to affect you for months after that. Even if you are COVID negative, you are still going to be set back in. You won't be able to do everything the way
Mm,
you used to before.
mm. Well, what message would you like to leave our listeners with? What advice would you like to give them?
I'd like to say that um, although we can't look, we can't live in fear of anything because what is going to come your way, if it's in your takdir, it's going to come your way. But there are things you can do to, safeguard yourself and your family, because obviously it's not just about you. You are living with a household of people, and they are all affected. If one is affected, then most probably all.
Mm,
So I just would like to tell people that to really take your precautions and be wary of the signs. And like I put up on my Facebook post, this is really not something you want. This is really not something you want to experience. Yeah,
mm,
so just please keep the social distancing and don't. There's still so many people that are going to these events, and there's a lot of people that are still planning weddings with hundreds of attendees, which is so unnecessary. Like
mm.
still to this day, it's happening around us here, and I just want to, if you can take away any message, just please rethink. the way you are going about your business and your life right now, because you don't know how you are going to be affected. You can think or you can say that, you know what, I'm healthy, I'm going to get over it in 2 weeks, but you don't know the long term symptoms that you can
And
be
it's so
affected
true,
with.
and I agree with you because everybody's body and their system reacts in different ways to different things. So it definitely makes sense what you're saying. We want to actually wish you nothing but a speedy recovery. Our du'as are with you. We're wishing you nothing but strength to strength. Allah keep you positive and keep you healthy. And we want to thank you for actually shedding some light on this matter this afternoon and giving people some food for thought about taking those precautions and doing all those necessary things that they need to do. You are such an inspiration to us to see the type of positivity that you've had to be able to help you overcome this. So, Jazakallah so much for giving us your time this afternoon.
Ameen, Barakallah, and all the best to you in your show.
Thank you so much. Allah keep you healthy, and we wish you all the best, my dear, from myself and the team.
Ameen. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And that was Sister Nabeela Noorani, definitely giving us some insight into COVID and what her experience was like. But I think it's given us a lot of food for thought to be able to understand why we need to social distance, why we need to take the necessary precautions, because as we can see, it's not just a short-term thing. There are long-term effects. But stay with us because we're going to be giving you some community information after the break.